This is the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, episode number 65.
Hi, this is voiceover actor Dave Weinstein, and you're listening to the Voiceover Marketing Podcast with John Milley.
In 1 second, some announcer guy will speak.
Hey there, it's John. How are you? Thanks for spending some time with me today. I do appreciate it. And a very special thank you to Dave Weinstein for sending in that liner. I really appreciate it. Thank you. We've got many of those in the can, ready to go. Stay tuned for future episodes. I was telling a coaching client of mine the other day that it's back to school time. It's back to school time for me too. And so I've got more episodes of the podcast recorded, ready to rock. And so stay tuned. And I hope you had a great summer. I am going to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe this wasn't the smartest thing for me to do podcast-wise, but I needed to do it for myself. I took the summer off from the podcast. Some people might say, not good, but somebody said, hey, you know, what's going on with the podcast? And I said, you know what? I have a lot of projects that I've taken on outside my full-time gig, and I'm trying to keep up with those. And I'd rather, when I finish up with that, I'd rather spend out time outside than spend it inside editing my podcast. So that's it. But people have been downloading all along. I just want to let you know, I posted something earlier this summer. We went over 100,000 downloads about 2 months ago, and I was so excited by that. But people continue to download the podcast. As of this recording, there have been 102,994 downloads of the various and sundry episodes of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. And that is just so cool. September, we've already had 760. August, we had 1,030. July, we had 955. June, we had 1,216. It's just so cool. So thank you for that. I have a longer episode today, and I'm going to tell you what it is up front, because if you're not interested, you can just check out right now. I had the tables turned on me. Actually, Joell and Jacob, who has been a guest on this podcast, graciously agreed to turn the tables on me and interview me about the Voiceover Athlete and the Voiceover Athlete Wellness Club. And this episode is all about that club, why I started it, why it's a passion of mine, why I think you should join it. It goes in depth into my story. It talks about that and how you can take advantage of it. And at the end of the episode, stay tuned, because I have a very special offer for anyone who wants to take advantage of a membership in the Voiceover Athlete Wellness Club with absolutely no risk and everything to gain, in my humble opinion. So, Joell, just want to thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule to do me a solid and interview me, because there's only so much that I can say about it. I'm too close to it. And so she was able to pull some information out of me that I wouldn't have thought of on my own. So let's go join the interview of Joell Jacob interviewing me about the Voiceover Athlete Wellness Club. All right, and stay tuned, because I got a really cool offer for you at the end. Well, welcome back. As I told you in the first part of the program, my interviewer today is Joell Jacob. You may remember Joell from being on the podcast a few episodes ago when we were discussing her book, Happy, and how to beat anxiety and depression without big pharma. You've been a coaching client and a big supporter of the podcast. And so, Joell, thanks for agreeing to do this today. I'm excited.
Oh, no, I'm so excited to help you with this, to share. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, no, it's great. And just so everybody understands, Joell put me in touch with PJ Brockett, who is the gentleman who produced the videos that are all the different modules in the Voiceover Athlete program. And so we just thought that it would be kind of cool for Joell to turn the tables on me and ask me questions about it, because you've been using the videos. I guess an end user's perspective would probably be the best way to put it, right, Joell?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the fact, this has been going on for a while. You've been developing this for a long time. You're practicing what you preach about developing products to diversify your business. You're doing it in a way that's helping others. So, I did get a sneak peek at these modules. So I've had them for a while. And as a singer and a voiceover artist, I really I love the trachea mobility. Like I just never knew about this sort of thing. And I love it. And then just as a person, as a tennis player, as a kayaker, some of the other modules like the nerve traction and the elbow. I dislocated my elbow snowboarding one time.
Yeah.
And just that elbow thing, it just really helps because, of course, it's my mouse hand, my tennis hand, so it really helps to keep that feeling good. So this is stuff, that it's actually I've implemented into my life. I just remember to do these things. I'm just standing in the grocery line and doing some of these things. I don't care if people are watching me, but, it's really helped me in various ways, life, not just as a voiceover artist. So
that's great. That's great to hear. And it all translates to everything else. And I do the similar things. My wife Ann will be with me or something, and I'll start doing some of those wrist exercises or the elbow thing, or maybe some shoulder mobility and things of that nature. And she just kind of looks at me and smiles, and people in line on either side of me might just kind of look at me like, stay away from that guy. Which can be a good thing, I guess. Anyway, so I'm so glad that you find these beneficial in not just in your vocal performance, but in other aspects of your life as well. So
yeah, well, thank you for putting it together. And I've also, I've gone to your website a few times, like over the time span, and I know this is something that you've finally just launched. And so I think what we really want to know is, what do you mean by voiceover athlete?
Yeah, it is kind of an interesting term. And I'll say that it comes from a lot of the training that I've received through my personal trainer and other folks that I've learned these drills that I've created here and specified or kind of refined for voiceover talent. So any person who uses their body to earn money is an athlete. So just like a person who plays basketball or football or tennis or kayaks, I know you're a kayaker, that's an athletic pursuit. So is voiceover. If anybody's ever been in a voiceover recording session for any length of time, that takes a certain amount of stamina. You're dealing with pressure. If you've got writers and clients on the other side of the wall, you're performing under pressure, and you need your body to be able to perform. Video game sessions. I mean, I've done a number of video game sessions, and they can be really, really intense depending on the type of role that you have. And so we are an instrument. Our voice is part of our bodies. And so one of the taglines that I have for the voiceover athlete is a healthy body means a healthy voice. And so we're the product. We need to do everything that we can to take care of ourselves so that we can perform at the highest level possible. Just like a lot of athletes will make sure that they eat properly and rest and recover properly and train. We do all of those things as voice talent. We take courses on voiceover performance. We might take breathing exercises. We might work out at a gym. Some people might not do any of those things and just kind of go about their day-to-day activities. So any person who uses their body to make money, I consider an athlete. And so if we're a voiceover talent and we use our voice to make money, which we do, then you're a voiceover athlete.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and I think we all know as voiceover talent, when you're in your booth and you're just staying still and things just kind of get stuck in place because you're being quiet. You only got your hands moving, that's it, and your mouth, throat. So the things that you've created really help holistically keep your body able to perform better. So that totally makes sense. How did it start for you, though? I mean, why was this kind of project so important for you?
Yeah, this kind of happened organically, and it came as a result of some things that happened to me. I'm 51, and when I was younger, before I got out of school and everything like that, I was always very active. And one thing I should also say, Joel, is to kind of go back to the first question of what do you mean by athlete, is people are designed to move. We have to move, and we've got joints and bones and muscles and tendons and ligaments for a reason. And so when we, like you said, cooped up in a booth and leaning over a computer and using just a mouse. Those are just very limited movements. And we're designed to move all of those things. And so this dovetails nicely into what you just asked, is how did this start for me? Is I was very, very active as a kid. I had a landscaping business when I was younger. I did a lot of physical work. I was a meat cutter to pay my way through college. I was always riding a bike. I didn't have a car until I graduated college. So if I was getting anywhere, it was either by foot or on bike. And then I got my license in high school and I did some driving. But I was always moving. I was a caddy as a kid, hauling golf bags around 18 holes on a golf course. So I was always very physically. I played soccer. I ran track. I played basketball. I was in the marching band. So you're carrying around a 20-pound brass saxophone, blowing into it while you're marching across a field. Great cardiovascular activity. And then I get into the working world and you become more sedentary. And I was doing very well in my voiceover freelance business, on top of working at a radio station and producing commercials. I was growing my freelance business at the same time, because radio is a business. It's a fun business, but it's a business, and it can be very fickle at times, and they flip formats and you're out. So the worst number in any business is 1. And I watched that growing up. I saw some people very close to me who had one source of income and really struggle when that source of income disappeared. And I learned from that, and I said, I'm always going to have multiple streams of income. And so I knew radio was difficult. It's a tough business. So I always wanted to create a side business. I think the term now is side hustle. And at any rate, so I was doing really well at it. And I was making more money than I ever had in my life. I was, one year I did over 6 figures in my freelance business on top of my full-time career. And I was working really hard. And I had done a couple of joint ventures with some people, and I was producing a lot of stuff. And I was basically going to work, coming home from work around 6, 7 o'clock at night, eating a quick meal, going up to my home studio and editing till about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I would put a Post-it note on the bathroom mirror for my wife, say, set the alarm for 9 o'clock. And she would go off to work and she'd set the alarm for me for 9. I'd get up, lather, rinse, repeat for months on end. And I wasn't eating well. I was putting on weight. I was powering through it, and I got through a lot of that work. And then I was driving up to Maine to meet Ann. Her dad has a house up there. I was going to meet her up there. I drove up, and she and her dad had ordered a pizza. So she said, hey, let's drive down and pick up the pizza. And I said, okay. As we were driving down the road, I got this pain in my back. And I was like, what is this? It was different. It was like not just a muscle ache, but anyway, driving down the hill, and I just couldn't get rid of the discomfort. And I started sweating and feeling really bad. And I said to Ann, I'm going to go upstairs and lie down. And I laid down, and I just couldn't get comfortable. Make a long story short, I had kidney stones. And it is what I came away from that experience with a couple of things, Joell, was one, I couldn't believe how something so small, because they did MRIs or CAT scans, dog scans, whatever, pet scans. They did some scan, which was humiliating. And I saw the pictures, and we're talking something about the size of a poppy seed. Or a couple of poppy seeds, not much bigger than that, but that something so small could lay you out.
Yep.
And really cause pain that I'd never experienced before. And I said to Ann, I think I need to go to the hospital. And so we got in the car, and the pain just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And we were in Wells, Maine, and there was a fire department right on the side of the road. I said, you need to pull in there. And she says, seriously? And I said, yeah. And so she pulled in, and she got the EMTs to come out, and they said, okay, he's not having a heart attack. It sounds like a kidney stone. And so they put me in an ambulance, and off we went. And sure enough, kidney stones. And then, yeah. And the doctor came in and said, oh, by the way, you've also got gallstones. And I said, well, what do I do about that? And he said, stop eating fatty foods.
Wow.
And I said, okay, my body is telling me something, And by the way, I still have my gallbladder. I have not had any surgery. Yeah, I have all the organs I was born with. At any rate, the second thing, aside from just the small kidney stone that can lay you out, it was a humbling experience, but it also was a wake-up call. And I said, okay, I need to make some changes. And I was traveling a lot, going to conferences and building my freelance business. I wasn't resting. And I said, I've got to prioritize this stuff because, it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're not healthy enough to enjoy it, what's the point? And,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like I was slowly killing myself to get this bank balance up just so that I could do other things. And yes, that's important for me, but being healthy is more important. And I said, I need to balance this out. And I said, what's the point if I'm spending $750 on the ambulance ride, the emergency room visit? I had health insurance, so it covered some of it, but these were all after health insurance covered stuff. And, it's like, there goes, a couple $1,000s, just boop, gone.
Right. Right.
And
just not taking care of yourself, which we need to do.
Yeah. And so, and my wife, she works at a state university here in Massachusetts, and she's a health promotion specialist. And she does alcohol and drug education and wellness education. She's got 2 master's degrees, and she's a certified health education specialist on a national level. She's accredited nationally. She's a smart woman, and she's always been very positive influence on me. And I always kind of grew up thinking holistically as well, but I had gotten so distracted with these other things that I just needed to really put the brakes on a lot of things and just reevaluate. And so how this all happened was voiceover it's so interesting how much voiceover has helped me in my life, not just giving me an outlet for my passions and creativities and giving me a great income and lifestyle, but it's also directed me to some really, really cool people. And I remember I produced a podcast intro for a guy who was doing a podcast on kettlebells and training. And I had other people telling me, I was reinterested in taking care of myself and knew I needed to lose weight. And so somebody said, hey, you may want to look into kettlebells because they're great at losing weight, helping you lose weight and get strong and all that kind of stuff. And so when this guy, Scott Ardella, is the guy who had the podcast, I think he's still publishing. I was talking to him about, what's the style and tone and all the production notes that we wanted to make on the performance of the intro. And I was saying, I've been hearing about kettlebells. And so he said, John, you're in Boston, I'm in Florida. What you should do is Google certified Russian kettlebell trainer in Boston. And I said, okay.
Okay.
So I did. And up came this website called Boston Kettlebell. I was like, okay, somebody knows how to optimize their search engine.
Yep.
And so I reached out to him, and my trainer's name is Mandla Nkosi, and he's been on the podcast. And I looked at his website, and he's got an extensive martial arts background, extensive fitness and training. He's a certified kettlebell trainer and all that. And so we had set up an appointment to do a consult, a 1-hour overview and consult and all that, and an evaluation. And I was a relatively strong guy because even throughout all of this work, I still went to the gym and exercised when I could. But I've since realized how much I didn't know. And he had me do these range of motion tests, bend over, touch your toes, do a squat, rotate, tilt your head, your neck, move your arms, all these things. He did this full assessment. And then he did a few drills, some of them that you've seen in the videos. And I couldn't believe the difference in my flexibility and mobility in just a short period of time after we did some of these things that I had never experienced before. And he didn't let me touch a kettlebell for 3 months.
Wow.
I signed up with him because the results were like that. And I don't know if you've experienced it, but just doing these simple drills, you can get a payoff relatively quickly. Because to explain a little bit about what these drills are in the voiceover athlete program, they're neurologically based mobility drills and training. And the folks who teach this stuff like to say that change happens at the speed of the nervous system. And if you can activate the nerves and the joints, you can get a result relatively quickly. And so he said, John, we're not going to let you touch this for a while because, yeah, you could do it. You could lift these things and you're strong, but you're jammed up. And what we would be doing is adding muscle on top of joints that don't move well. And that's going to create an injury. And then we're going to have to undo the injury. We're going to have to mobilize the joint and then pretty much start over. So what we need to do is get you moving well, get rid of the inflammation in your body, and then you will get stronger as a result of that for a whole bunch of things that, I talk about in the voiceover athlete, like the SAID principle and the Wolff's Law and all of that, and the arthrokinetic reflex and how jammed joints make weak muscles. And it's all designed, the body is designed to protect itself, and it's all a result of the body wanting to protect itself. And if the body feels like, and the brain says, you can't move that way very well, so we're going to protect you and not allow you to move as well, or we're going to make you move slowly, or we're going to force you to reduce the amount of effort that you can make on that joint because we're not really used to moving that way. This is the brain talking. It decreases your ability to move or reduces the amount of load that your bones and your muscles are willing to accept because the brain's job is to protect you. It's going to say, I'm not sure I can do that, so don't lift that. It's really a fascinating thing. And I go into a depth in the course. I'm going way over. I get very passionate about this. So I'm sorry if that's a long answer to a simple question, but for all of those reasons, that's why it's so important, is because we've only got this body once and we need to take care of it. And I just like sharing good information because basically I like to help people. It's tough for me to watch people go through things or struggle through things when I know I can make a difference, but I can't force that on people.
Right.
And so I have to create an outlet where I say, here's what I have to offer. It's like hors d'oeuvres. Would you like a shrimp, or would you like a stuffed mushroom cap? Would you like a scallop and bacon? And everybody has the opportunity to say yes or no. And I can't take it personally if they don't avail themselves of the good information, but I can only make it available. And if people want to partake, that's great. And that's why it's important, because I honestly want to help, because I know it can. And it's tough for me to watch people suffer, because I have friends and family that I want to help them. Some of them are kind of interested, but some of them are like, people glaze over. They're like, okay, John. Yeah. There you go. And I can't, lead a horse to water, right?
Right.
But anyway, that's why it's important to me. And that's how it started for me.
Well, it's so interesting to hear this part of it, because I think, my husband, he's very much an athlete, but things are tightening up for him. And I'm always like, oh, you should, everybody tells him too, like yoga, but he's finally open to it. But I really don't think it really is the thing for him. And what you were just saying about this actually sounds like something that would make sense to him and that he could just do. So I'm excited to, as soon as I'm out of here, I'm going to go tell him about this. This sounds like something that would be like right up his alley.
It's amazing when people ask me to describe it, and it's like, it's not like anything you've ever done before, because so much of fitness and health and rehab and physical therapy. Now, I have to say this up front, because I'm not a medical professional in any way. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a registered dietitian or anything like that. I don't have a license. I am sharing this from my experience, but I do know that everybody's got a nervous system and everybody's going to react to it differently. And if you've got any health issues, and I say this at the Voiceover Athlete Wellness Club site, get checked out by a doctor or, a licensed healthcare professional before you do anything, because you're responsible for your own health. I can only share what's worked for me. But Yes, this is for pretty much anybody who wants to move better, athletes, people who aren't athletic. This whole paradigm of focusing on muscles and stuff like that, that's good. But really what we need to do is focus on what activates the muscles, its nerves, and what moves those muscles. You know, what's the structure that moves those muscles? It's the ligaments and the bones and the joints. And it kind of simplifies things when you do that, when you focus on bones rather than particular muscles, because there are so many fewer bones than there are muscles. There are hundreds of muscles, but, only like a couple hundred bones. I'm kind of getting off topic, but it's really for anybody who wants to move and kind of, that song, the hip bone connected to the thigh bone connected to the knee bone. It's really true. And the whole body is a system. It's connected. And I think we've been too segmented in terms of Western medicine, in terms of looking at just parts of the body. And I'm not making this up, but I had fallen on my hip several years ago on some black ice, and I jammed up my SI joint, right, where the hip meets the base of the spine, the sacroiliac joint, right by the sacrum. And I was going to a chiropractor because I was having a lot of sciatic nerve problems. And so that would work for a while. He'd pop everything back into place. And then I'd get in the car and go back to work, and it'd all kind of go right back into place. I'm like, well, that was good for about 20 minutes. Well, my trainer looked at me and said, well, he looked at my eyes. He looked at my vision. And he said, we've got to work on your vision. And we spend so much time looking at a computer that we may not realize that we have a certain eye dominance. But the way he described it to me was this, Joell. Because everything matters, you could be feeling pain in one part of your body, but it could be because of something else going on somewhere different. So he said, imagine you've got a car. The car is an analogy for your body. And you're driving down the road, and the tires are wearing unevenly on the right side. You go to the mechanic and you say, why are my tires wearing unevenly on the right side all the time? And he says, I don't know. Let's rotate the tires and see what happens. They rotate the tires and you drive, and they still wear unevenly on the right-hand side. So then they say, well, let's do an alignment. Make sure that everything's in alignment. Okay. And the tires still wear unevenly on the right-hand side. Well, let's take a look at the frame and see if the frame is out of whack and see all that kind of stuff. And the tires still continue to wear unevenly on the right-hand side. And you're like, what is going on here? Well, then you realize that your driver's side windshield wiper has a missing piece. So that when it wipes, you get this streak of water that comes right into your vision. And so what you do is you lean to the right to see how around that streak of water that's done by the windshield wiper. And you notice that every time you lean to the right, you pull the car to the right. Every time that windshield wiper comes across and you need to look around it. So you replace the windshield wiper, the tires stop wearing unevenly on the right-hand side. And it's all because of a vision problem. So people don't necessarily have eyes that both look straight ahead and don't work at the same speed. Our eyes have muscles around them to move them in all different directions. And just like every other muscle in the body that gets overworked, they get tired. And I'd shared a video on the Voiceover Marketing Podcast group page on a visual relaxation drill, a visual reset, where we actually massage the different muscles around the eye. And you can do drills that will strengthen weaker eyes, and you can do drills that relax muscles that are overworked on a different eye. And you actually might find that pain in different parts of your body gets better, because if you can see better, you can move better. Am I making sense?
Well, I know I've never heard of that before, but I know that I go to the acupuncturist all the time.
Yeah, I've done that.
When she's putting a needle somewhere in my foot, that's affecting something else.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes she can put a needle in my knee and I feel it in my right shoulder or something, really, it's interesting how you can feel how everything's connected. So to me, that sort of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand about the vision thing, but I'm definitely open to it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to look into that. I'm going to go find that video on
Yeah, yeah.
page, because I have noticed that, being on the computer so much, now I'm wearing glasses. I have to wear these, the computer glasses to help with the glare and all this other stuff. So it makes sense.
Think about, here's something that people can do right now. If you're driving, don't do this. Do it when you're not in your car. If you're looking at your computer, our eyes move from left to right a lot because we're reading in English. You go from the left to the right. Take your eyes, don't move your head, but look to the left and hold them there for 5 seconds if you can and see what happens. Do it seated and then take your eyes and don't turn your head, but look to the right and hold for 5 seconds. Notice how different that might feel. It feels different because you use muscles in a certain pattern repeatedly. And unless you kind of work them in other directions, if like you curled a barbell with your right arm all day long, low weight, you're going to build that muscle up. If you don't use the left arm, that's just not going to be as strong as the right arm, or you're going to develop an imbalance on both sides. Mm-hmm. So if you're overusing muscles in one direction when they can move in multiple directions, that creates tension and an imbalance. And we have to think about the whole system, the whole body. It all works together, and it can impact your voice. I mean, if you've ever had back pain, if you've hurt your back and you tried to perform vocally, that hurts. It's tough because you can't get a full breath. Why? Because your lungs run right along your spine, I mean, so it's all connected. It all matters. So
yeah, absolutely. So what is the club that you created, the Voiceover Athlete Wellness Club?
Basically, it's a place for people who are interested. Like I said, I can only offer the hors d'oeuvres. Whether people choose to participate or partake is up to them. But for me, I needed to create a place for others to participate. We all need community. And so I created this as a community because there's a lot of stuff kind of working against our health in the greater world that we live in terms of the types of foods that are out there, the type of work environments that we're in. And I'm not just talking about people energy, but talking about, the sedentary aspects of voiceover. Even if you stand while you voice copy, which I do, there's not a lot of movement there. If you're editing your own audio files, which I know a lot of folks who listen to this podcast do, that's a lot of time at the computer. That's a lot of keyboard and mouse clicking time. That's a lot of screen time. And so I created the club because there are people who will benefit from this, and it's a place where you need to find people who are kind of on the same page. And if you're not quite there, then, stick your toe in the water and you find out that this is pretty cool. But we all need a place to hang out and learn from, and just know that it's important for us to know that we're not alone. Am I making sense with that?
Yeah, that makes sense. And how does it work?
Well, so it's a monthly membership, and that's why it's a club. It's not just a course. Mm-hmm. People were saying, well, why don't you just create a course and people can buy it one and done? And the reason why it's a club is because I know how hard it is. I know what people are up against. It's like, you buy something, you look at it, you get excited about it for a while, and then something else comes up. And you kind of set it off. With a club, it's a membership. It's something that you're participating in on a regular basis. And it's like joining the health club or joining any other organization that you're a part of. It's there for you all the time. And the thing about the club is that it's beyond just a course. Sure, there are 13 main videos in this initial offering of the club, but what I'm doing is I'm adding more stuff to it all the time. These drills basically go from your hands up to your shoulders, your jaw, your neck, and the upper part of your spine, the thoracic portion of your spine. But there's a whole other part of the body that I haven't even touched upon. And there are a whole bunch of other things that I can share. I'm going to share food. I'm going to, things that I do. I'm bringing in my experience as a meat cutter. People have been asking, look at this meat cutter thing. And it's one of the best educations I've ever gotten because I know what good food is. I know what healthy food is, and I know what unhealthy food is because I've seen it. And so I bring that into it. I talk, smoothie recipes, things of that nature. I'm doing a lot of stuff with self-hypnosis and some guided meditations on my own. I'm thinking about developing some of those things and putting those into the membership as well. So it's an ongoing membership. So the longer you're in, the more stuff you're going to get access to, and it's all there. It's ready for anybody to take advantage of whenever they want to. It's 24/7.
Yeah, and I think that's, the thing, like you said, you buy something and then you just, set it aside. And there is something about being connected to a community where you can get that feedback or, accountability or I finally joined the tennis club and I'm playing tennis so much more because I joined the club. I get to meet people and then I'm inspired to just do that sort of thing more often. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And like I said, I know how hard it is. I mean, I'm on this journey too. I haven't reached all my goals with this. I feel so much better at 51 than I did at 41 and probably even 31. And I've got ways to go for some of my goals, but my goals keep changing because I keep moving them because I continually make progress. And like I said, it's tough because if you're trying to make changes, like I work at a radio station, okay? And if I could take a picture right now of the studio next door to me, there are 2 boxes of pizza. There's a big bag from a major donut company and a big jug of coffee. And that's in the on-air studio. And then down the hall is another box of pizza. And in the conference room, there's a big meeting going on, and they have all kinds of food from other places. And I actually had a guy come in here the other day say, how would you like a big ice cream cookie sandwich? And I said, I would love a big ice cream cookie sandwich, but I am not going to partake because I know what that's going to do to me. Yeah, it's going to taste great, but geez, I'm going to pay for that, And so we need a place where you could go and that stuff's not going to be thrown. I deal with this on a daily basis. Last week we had Bertucci's. You have Bertucci's down in Connecticut, right?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing them down.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know what Bertucci's is.
I do know Bertucci's, yeah.
Okay. They're, and the only reason I said down in Connecticut is just because I'm north here in Boston. I don't mean it that way. Anyway, everything's down from Boston. Even Maine is down. Yeah. You're going to go down Maine? I mean, you're going to go down the Cape? It's just have you ever seen that poster? This is a total aside, and I'm going to keep this in the episode. You ever seen that poster, A Bostonian's View of the World?
No.
Oh, it's awesome. There's like Boston with the John Hancock Tower and the Old North Church and the Prudential Tower and Fenway Park. Then there's Route 128, which is Route 95. That's the belt, the loop around the city. Then there's like the Statue of Liberty and then California. And we are very provincial. So, and I'll freely admit it. At any rate, so Bertucci's is a pizza chain here in the greater Boston area. And they were out in the back parking lot with a big brick oven, and they had, brick oven fire going, and they were making pizzas and rolls and cheese bread and all kinds of really yummy stuff in the back parking lot. And the air conditioners were just sucking in the smell. And you're like, oh my God, this is brutal. I mean, it smelled fantastic, but like I'm saying, it's tough. So that's why I've created this community, and I would really love for people to join. And yes, there is an investment, but there's a lot of good stuff here, and anything worth doing, you got to have some investment involved. You got to have some. People ask me why, and I said, well, how many free PDF reports have you downloaded onto your computer that you've never read? And I'll raise my hand. I've got a whole file folder full of them, and I'm saying, I'll get to that someday. But if I've bought something, I'm like in. I got to read it or I'm going to use it. And,
Right. Yeah.
and so it makes people a better participant. It makes people more in tune. If you're going to go invest in a workshop, a voiceover workshop, you're going to, or any of the conferences, you're investing the registration fee, but you're also investing the travel expenses, the hotel, the airfare, the meals, all of those things. This is kind of like the voiceover workshop that never ends and it always gets added to, and you don't have to travel for it. I guess that's the pitch. And if people want to join, I would love for you to join and take advantage and just see what we have there. And if not, it's not for you, that's okay.
And so who do you think should join the Voiceover Athlete Wellness Club and who shouldn't? I mean, is it just who wants to or doesn't? I mean, it sounds like, I think this could expand to so many other people, but is this basically just for the voiceover community?
It's a great question. And the answer is yes and no. It's for everyone in the sense that we've all been blessed with a nervous system and a body and different, all the things that make us up as human beings. And so if you own a human body and a brain free and clear, which everybody does, then yes, you can use it. The reason why I've called this the voiceover athlete is because I've taken these specific drills and I've put them into the context of how they can help you as a vocal talent. I've tailored them in such a way and presented them in such a way so that they can get some payoff that's going to help improve their voiceover performance. The reason why it's the voiceover athlete, not just everybody, is candidly, this is my world. I work with voiceover talent. I work with radio people. I work with production people. So this is the community that I've built up through the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. Can anybody use these drills? Absolutely, because everybody's got a mouth and a jaw and a neck and hands and eyes and a spine and all of that. So yes, it's within the context of enhancing vocal performance. That's why it's called the voiceover athlete. But anybody who's interested can benefit from these. Who is it not for? It's really not for people who think they know everything already. I don't. I'm still learning. And somebody shared with me a really cool expression several years ago, Joell, and it was little hinges swing big doors. And what that means is that if you're looking for something to give you a slight advantage, just like a little thing that could improve your performance dramatically, this is for you. And if you're looking to feel better and move better, this is for you. If you're somebody who thinks, you know what, I've got everything I need. I'm already working out. I don't need to learn anything new. I've got a trainer already. I'm good. Then, by all means, don't. But if you're at least a bit curious and you want to stick your toe in the water, I'm inviting you to try it.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you can do. That's what we all do, right?
Yeah.
Just put it out there and whatever's good, take it, leave the rest. That's how you go through life. So I want to thank you for putting this stuff together. Like I said at the top, some of this stuff has really helped me.
What's your favorite drill?
Trachea.
The trachea?
Yeah, I just love it.
Yeah.
Because I feel those little crunchies in there. I'm like, all right, let's get rid of those crunchies.
Yeah.
And as a singer, again, so I'm saying, not just voiceover, but as a vocalist, as a singer.
Yeah.
And it just helps me loosen up, all in there. And then I do, the tongue exercises and other ones that I know. And it's like I almost like to start there.
Yeah, it's one of those, people have different drills that pay off for them better than others because everybody is different. People are going to react differently because we're all carrying around. What's really been interesting is that as I have been going through this process, I'm kind of going backward in my injuries. Like I told you about my hip falling in black ice years ago, that's kind of been undone. And then I've rediscovered this other hip, and I remember, oh yeah, that was from the time when I was playing full contact tackle football without pads on a rainy day, and my friend Bob smashed into my hip. And oh yeah, I twisted the vertebrae then, or I banged the shoulder here, or I got hit in the head with the bat from my cousin then. And all this stuff that gets banged, we get banged up. Here's a question. Have you ever hurt your ankle and then compensated for it?
Right.
And then you start to ache in different parts of the body because you're trying to keep the weight off that ankle?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't take long for the body to adapt to that. And then you get into a certain movement patterns, and then the ankle heals, but you haven't undone that movement pattern because subconsciously your brain is trying to protect you from that step off on that ankle. So if you haven't addressed that over the course of time, all that stuff kind of compounds. And one of the biggest realizations that I have had throughout this whole process is how many physical accommodations I've made over the course of my life that have gotten to me where I was. And now I'm kind of undoing all of that, if that makes any sense. The body has an amazing capacity to heal itself. So it's just been a very satisfying and exciting thing. I mean, I've totally geeked out on this, as you can tell. But it's been really exciting to be able to do things that I haven't been able to do in years. You know, I can't make that claim for anybody other than myself because that would be unethical. And I would say, if you got issues, talk to your doctor before you do anything. I can't be responsible for your well-being. I can only share this information with you in what's worked for me. But I think people understand that.
Yeah, and everything that you're offering here it's very gentle. It's not like you're,
Yeah.
Taking out a bat and beating on somebody, So.
Although I do have a heavy bag at home, and that I got to say that's kind of fun. No, there's not a lot of heavy lifting, as you know, in any of these things at all. It's a lot of very gentle movement, and as you said, it's not yoga. It's different. It's not that at all.
Yeah, it is very different.
And the neat thing about it is you can do these drills that I've got the videos on so far, sitting up in a chair or standing. It's up to you.
So, I mean, how does it work? I mean, if somebody joins and then they just figure out it's maybe just not for them, I mean, do you have a money back guarantee or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have used a platform called teachable.com, and that's the platform that hosts the videos and all of that. And I totally agree with this because I offer a 100% money back guarantee anyway. They require, if somebody is not happy, 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. So if people want to try it for a month and they're not happy, they get their money back. And that's how I've always done business anyway. I remember I was talking about this with one of my coaching clients. I said, you know what? It's the right thing to do. But in this day and age, it's just so easy to just kill your business by making a stupid, short-sighted decision. I remember once I had somebody order a voiceover training manual from me, and they did what you just said. They said, I thought I wanted this, but it really isn't what I expected. I'd like to get my money back. And I replied back, I said, I've given you a full refund and keep the product, because I didn't want the manual back, and it was going to be more of a hassle to send her a label to mail the thing back, and I was going to have the paper and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want anybody unhappy. I don't have a problem sticking up for myself and standing for what I believe in, but at the same time, I also believe in integrity. And if this isn't what you want or what you expected, I'm not going to force you to say, well, tough tea bags. You signed up for it. Yeah, right. Okay. And then in 30 seconds, I'm all over the internet with, that's just dumb. I don't need the hassle. It's like, I need to be able to look myself in the mirror every morning. And it's like, I don't want that. Hey, Mel, he's a bum. He took my money. I don't have time for that energy. I just did a whole episode on don't be a voiceover scumbag.
Yes, I just heard it.
I don't want to be a scumbag. It's just so much easier for me. Anyway, you get a 30-day money back guarantee if you're not happy. And if people, because it's an ongoing membership, if people want to stop, that's fine. You just stop.
That's easy to do because I know that some subscriptions are hard to just stop. So it's an easy process.
You know what? I've never had anybody do it yet, to be perfectly honest. So I don't know what the process is, but I will promise you that it will be easy. One way or another, I will make it right. Here's the thing. It's so easy to be jaded these days, and because there's plenty of opportunity for people to feel like, you know what, I got a raw deal. And I just don't want that, and I think you just got to do the right thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, I'm going to make it right. And I don't think there's going to be a problem. And you're going to like the information anyway, so it's not going to be a real problem. But yeah, I'll make it right one way or another. It's just, I want to do business the right way. That's all. So, yeah.
It sounds like, you're making it really simple for people to join. And if it's not right for them, then they can just leave and it's not going to be a hassle, and make it really easy for people to just check out.
Yeah.
Go check it out and see if it's, even just try some of the modules, and say, wow, this has benefit for me. Then, and then you can see everything else. I mean, why not?
Yeah, there's the other thing is that there's a lot of written content too that kind of provides the context for why these drills make sense. So it's a really good idea. And I say it at the beginning video, take the time to do some of the reading. You'll recognize some of the story that I shared during our conversation today, but there are also other things that explain how and why these things work. The one thing I will say is that I think the system's set up that if you're like in the middle of the month and you decide, I don't want to do it, you're still going to get access to it for the rest of the month. So like if your renewal date is on the first of the month and you decide on the 15th, like, I'm kind of done with this, you're going to have until the 30th or the 31st of the month to still access all the stuff. And then you won't be charged going forward.
And any of that written material, is that going to be something that people will be able to listen to instead? Because I know myself, that's what I do. I'm a big podcast listener, audiobook listener, because I have to read so much.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I love podcasts, obviously. I love to listen to them. So, that's a good idea. I'll do an audio version of the copy. I'll put that up there as an audio file. I think I have John Florian from voiceoverextra.com. We did a voiceover athlete webinar about a year and a half ago. And I think I have the audio file for that, which explains a lot of what the written content is. I think that's in there as well, but I can double check that. And if it's not, I'll just put it up. And easy enough to record.
Right.
So, yeah. And like I said, it's the nice thing about the club is that it's always going to have new material put into it. And my goal is to continue to have new drills like every week. So there's the 13th. That's the goal. I mean, if we, membership's a little small right now because we're just getting this started. But as stuff's up there and this continues to grow, it's as much for me as it is for everyone else. It's like I said, we need the community and we need the accountability. Well, I've got this responsibility now to continue to create and share things. And so I definitely want people to feel like they're getting new stuff all the time and that their membership is worth the investment.
Yeah, well, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Well, there's so much, there's so much there, and there's always something that we can learn. And there's always stuff that I'm learning on a weekly basis too. So,
well, and that's the thing, when it's for you. So, and you're psyched about it and you're sharing that with the world, and, when people can grab onto it and it can benefit them, it's all good.
There you go. I should say that if you're interested in this, you can go to voiceoverathlete.com and look for the Wellness Club link up at the top of the page, and that'll take you right to the course. And there are some free videos, sample videos that people can check out before they even sign up, too. That's the other thing.
Very good.
All right, Joelle.
Yeah, well, very good. I mean, is there anything else that we need to...
Joelle, I want to thank you for taking time out of your life to, first of all, share your information with me to help me find PJ, to help me, and being so supportive of me creating this project. I really couldn't have done it without you because you put me in touch with PJ and his talents. And like I always say in the podcast, do what you're good at and outsource the rest. And sure, I could have sat my iPhone up or iPad up and done the videos on my own, but it takes a real pro to do these things. And he does this all day, every day. It's like, why don't you change your own oil, John? Because I don't want to spend 4 hours doing it. And if you've listened to the podcast at all, you know that story. So at any rate, it's like, this is why we have an economy, people. We can't do everything on our own. Do what you're good at and outsource the rest. And so PJ helped create some really good videos. And so I'm grateful to you for helping me find him and and taking the time to ask these questions. I hope this has helped people, and just thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I mean, like I said, I'm happy. I'm so excited to help, spread this word, because it will help people who want to try it, even if it's just one thing they take away. Anything that helps people be healthier, be happier, be able to do their work and live their life in a more comfortable space, I'm all for that. So thank you for putting it all together.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your kind words. I'm glad that these have helped you.
Yeah, me too.
That was pretty cool. Thanks again to Joell Jacob for taking time out of her calendar to interview me for that back when we did it. Thank you, Joell. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I have a special offer just for you because you listen to the Voice Over Marketing podcast. And the link I'm about to share with you, you cannot find anywhere else. You need to go to, here it is, ready? Go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com, look for episode 65. In the show notes for episode 65, there's a link. And if you are on my email list, I will also email it to you as well. So here's the deal. You get the first month free. That's my $39 gift to you just for listening to the podcast. You have no risk. Check it out. Try it free for 30 days. A month free. Check out all the videos. Do all the drills. Read all the materials that are there. Listen to multiple presentations. And because you're a listener of the podcast, I want you to be able to take advantage of this. It's had a profound impact on my life. I'm pretty sure it will for you as well. Remember, I'm not a doctor. Before you undertake any exercise regimen, obviously, I have to tell you, check with your doctor or medical professional. You're responsible for your own health. Remember, a healthy body means a healthy voice. You are the product. So go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com, go to episode 65, and look for the first month free link in the show notes. You can't go to voiceoverathletewellnessclub.com and take advantage of this. It is not there. You can only get this here through the podcast. Okay? That's it. Use it in good health, and I will talk to you next week. Take care.
Our program originates in the Boston studios. We hope you'll join us again. Until then, we bid you au revoir, keep the chin up, and the best of luck.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Voice Over Marketing Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to it at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com so you'll get notices of new episodes, and please share it with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover world. Also, it would be a huge help if you'd like this podcast and rate it on iTunes to help keep it near the top of the list. Feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode and future topics you'd like discussed at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. And if you'd like more information on one-on-one coaching with me and mastermind group opportunities where we focus on growing your business, feel free to drop me a line at my cyber assistant's email address at mike@johnmelly.com. Thanks for listening. Now go out there and share your voice with the world.